Hello and welcome to Wellness Live. My name is Dr. Olivia Moses, and we are so excited that you've decided to join us here today. If you are watching us live, please remember you can interact today directly with our guest speakers. So go ahead and type your questions. Welcome to Wellness Live. My name is Dr. Olivia Moses, and we are so excited that you've decided to join us here today. If you are watching us live, please remember you can interact today directly with our guest speakers. So go ahead and type your questions into Wellness Live. My name is Dr. Olivia Moses, and we are so excited that you've decided to join us here today. I'm so sorry. If you can hear me, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. We'll be back and we'll get it fixed. So I just want to talk to this studio. Are we good to go? So I'm sorry, everyone who is watching us live. We will be ready in a few minutes. Okay, well, we're going to get started again. So sorry about that. Technical difficulties can happen to anyone. But again, I want to welcome you. My name is Dr. Olivia Moses, and this is Wellness Live, brought to you by Loma University Health. Today, we're going to be talking about a really fun topic. We are going to be talking about something that has spread across the globe, and it is called pickleball. Now, why would we talk about pickleball here on Wellness Live? Well, because it has to do with exercise. And if you have seen any stories about pickleball, you will see that it is engaging individuals in exercise from the young to the very old. And so if you are old and young, or definitely scared to get some exercise, pickleball might be a fun way for you to actually engage in some physical activity. Now, is the press and the hype about pickleball really all it's kind of hyped up to be? Well, we have a wonderful guest today who is the perfect person to talk to us about this actual fun sport. He is a USA Pickleball Ambassador for Loma Linda. He is on the national board for USA Pickleball, and he is also a coach for pickleball here at our Drayson Center. But he also is, he wears a lot of titles, as you can see. He also is assistant professor of public health and has been here at Loma Linda for 8 years and is an alumnus of Loma Linda University. He is a great person to talk to when it comes to pickleball and your health. So I want to introduce you today to Dr. Ernie Medina, who is one of the nicest people on campus and one of my good friends. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Ernie Medina.
Thank you, Dr. Moses. It's great to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Well, thank you so much for being here. So pickleball has been this thing that has taken over the nation. It's on news articles, it's in magazines. So why don't we get to your presentation today and let's get started, and then maybe we can get to some question and answer.
Okay, sounds good. Let me just share my PowerPoint here and we'll jump right into it. Okay, does that look, you guys can see
Perfect.
that okay?
Perfect.
All right. Well, good to be here with everyone. I'm really excited about sharing this topic. Some of you might think, how can this game with a funny name be a public health intervention? And a lot of people have not taken me seriously when I would say this, but hopefully after today's presentation, you will see that, yes, it can be definitely a public health intervention. And one of the best things I think around. And so these are the objectives that I want to cover today. Learn a little bit about what it is, learn at least 3 ways how pickleball can overcome common physical activity barriers that I've seen in my working with lifestyle behavior change over the last almost 30 years, and then learn some things, at least 3 things that it'll benefit your health. And then finally, learn at least 1 way how you can get involved with pickleball. So what is pickleball? The easiest thing to do is, I can explain it the way I explain it a lot of times is people say it feels like ping pong on a tennis court. So if you go on YouTube and just search pickleball, you'll see a lot of things there. If you go on usapickleball.org, you can see all the explanation about what is pickleball. So you can go to that website. And like Dr. Moses said, it's been exploding over the last, since the pandemic especially. It was created in 1965. and it had a slow growth. It was growing steadily, but then since the pandemic, it just all of a sudden exploded through the roof. And this is one of the more probably generous estimates of players in America, and they say that it's just going to keep growing exponentially. But however, not everyone is enamored with pickleball. You might have heard in the news that the noise of pickleball is driving community, some people, neighbors, crazy because of the sound. Because if you hear the sound, I've got my paddle right here in a ball. You can hear that sound, and to some people, that's music to our ears. We hear that hitting back and forth all the time. To other people, it drives them nuts. And so this has been a growing problem across the country. And so just this week, Monday, the national governing body of pickleball, USA Pickleball, just announced some categories for products, for balls, for paddles, and guidelines to try to help deal with this growing problem of the noise situation. Also, you might have heard in the news about how pickleball is injuring, is costing millions of dollars in injuries. And yeah, that's true, partly because it's so addicting, so easy to learn, so easy to do that people, going from zero physical activity, zero exercising, they try it out, they love it. Then they're playing 3 hours, 7 days a week. I don't care if you're doing crocheting, you're going to hurt yourself if you do that from zero to that many times. So that's part of the reason. But yeah, it's not any more dangerous than hiking or walking. But yes, injuries have been going up, and we know we need to get people more physically active because physical inactivity is one of the root causes of our big killers, of our 4 big killers in our country. So that been always my drive and working when I first was working at Beaver Medical Group before coming back to Loma Linda is how can I get people more physically active? And so over my time there, I heard a lot of people tell me why they didn't do exercising or they weren't physically active. And so when I learned pickleball, I saw, wow, pickleball can overcome a lot of the barriers, most of the barriers that I've heard to becoming physically active. So a common barrier is cost. A lot of people say, oh, I can't afford to do this activity, or I can't go to a gym, I can't afford the equipment, I can't afford a bicycle, or whatever. They can't afford it, it's too expensive. Pickleball equipment, very inexpensive. You can go to any Walmart, Target, Big Five, whatever store you have there, Costco, they sell pickleball equipment there. This is on Amazon. You can see, look at this. You can get a whole setup, net, 4 paddles and balls for $75. I mean, that's pretty cheap. So number one, very inexpensive to get started in. Another barrier to physical activity is access. People say, oh, I can't go somewhere to play, or I can't join this, or I don't have transportation, or, access. Well, with pickleball, with that net, you can see there, this was in a church in LA that I was doing a pickleball training there. We set it up right in their parking lot, the net right there. We used sidewalk chalk. We chalked out the court there, and then we had them playing. And within an hour and a half, 2 hours, they were all playing a game, pickleball game. So you could set it up pretty much. I've set up a pickleball net in hotel lobbies, in conference rooms, parking lots, cul-de-sacs, driveways, streets, anywhere there's a flat hard surface, I've set up a pickleball net. So it's very accessible. You could set it up pretty much just about anywhere. Also, another barrier is that people say, well, I can't do it. It's too difficult. It's too hard. I'm not in shape. I also mountain bike. And when I was a student, I don't know if Dr. Moses remembers this, when she was a student, but, when I was a student, I played ultimate Frisbee, loved it. I wish I could still play, but it's very intense. Mountain biking can be very scary, very intense as well. So I had a hard time bringing patients to go mountain biking or playing ultimate Frisbee. But with pickleball, it's very easy to learn. The learning curve is very, very easy. You could teach it to all ages. The pictures I have here on the screen, this was taken all in one day. I was teaching a pickleball class to students at Crafton College in the morning. In the evening, there's Coach James on the left. He was teaching a group of beginners there. And that same evening, I was teaching these 2 girls in the middle there, 2 6-year-old girls playing. They were learning pickleball. And so it's very inclusive, ages, all ages, fitness level. You could be out of shape, in shape, medium shape, whatever, all sizes and all that. Very, very inclusive. And speaking of inclusivity, here we did for possibilities, we did pickleball. We did it for wheelchair players. So I tried it in the wheelchair. It was very scary because I felt like I was going to fall backwards, but they were pretty good at moving around the court. there you see on the left, one of my students, and she gave permission to share a picture, but she, as you can see, if you look closely, she's a double amputee. Double amputee. She's a student of mine. She's just learning the game, had zero tennis background. She's going to be a very good pickleball player by the end, I can already tell. And again, it's a very inclusive sport that you can include people with other physical challenges and that kind of thing. It's also, one of the barriers to physical activity is that a lot of times people will say, "Oh, I don't like to do it by myself. I can't find other people to do it with me." Pickleball, one of the biggest attributes about pickleball is it's very social. And that's part of the pickleball culture. We often go out to eat afterwards, we get together, very, very social, and you have a sense of belonging. And then the big thing that I think about with pickleball is that it's just really fun. There was a study that just came out from a good friend of mine and colleague over at USC, Dr. Genevieve Dunton, and she looked at some of the aspects of what physical activity makes physical activity a long-term behavior, and enjoying the activity, having fun is one of those things. And pickleball, it's one of those things. And I'll have to say that ever since I started playing pickleball, my voice has always been very hoarse because I've been laughing and yelling and screaming in a good way. I'm Filipino as well, so we do that anyway, but I have done it more so. And ever since I started playing pickleball in 2016, my voice has been constantly hoarse. And if you look, this picture I took, I just added this in. This was last night, Wednesday, 8 o'clock last night. There was anywhere from 75 to 100 people out there playing pickleball on all the courts there. There's 4 pickleball courts per tennis court. So there's 4 tennis courts here. There's 16 pickleball courts out there at our Drayson Center, at our wellness center here at Loma Linda. And this was just last night. And this was even a slow night for us. Wednesday night is not the formal club play night. So it's very social. So I don't know, Olivia, this might be a good time. If anybody might have any questions about that right now, we could take a break here. Should I stop the screen share?
Yeah, why don't you stop the screen share? And
Okay.
yes, and so I just want to encourage our audience, if you have any questions for Dr. Medina, please go ahead and type them in. One of the questions that has come through Dr. Medina is basically, what is so unique and what makes it so fun? How is this different from other things? And you kind of mentioned, it's easy to set up, it's fairly inexpensive. Can you talk about the physical impacts, and maybe how much they have to exert and everything else?
Yeah, a good question. Yeah, I grew up playing tennis. So I started playing tennis when I was about 12 years old. I played ping pong even when I was younger. I picked up racquetball in college. And so I played racket sports all my life. And so that's sort of what I have to compare it to. And I used to teach tennis too in college as well. I was a TA for the PE teacher there. And so I know what it's like for somebody to learn tennis. That's usually the biggest comparison to it. And what I found the difference in, the reason why I think it's so popular and so addicting is that it is so easy to learn and pick up. We have a visiting scholar from Nepal. He's the director of Ministry of Health from Nepal. I had a meeting with him on Monday night, told him about pickleball, of course, and he came out last night or Tuesday night. Never played before. He's a badminton background. By the end, we played 5 or 6 games with other people. I taught him how to serve, how to hit the ground strokes, how to volley, and then threw him in a game, and boom, he's playing. You can't do that with tennis, And so I find that for people, the learning curve is very easy. So they can pick it up very quickly. Even if they're not in shape, you're usually playing doubles. So there's 2 people on the court. The court's only 20 feet wide and 44 feet long. Like I said, it's the size of a badminton court. So if you're used to badminton, it's the badminton dimensions. So the court is smaller. So people say, oh, well, then you don't get a lot of exercise. Well, you can get a lot of exercise as you get higher in skill. You can move around quite a bit. Plus, also you can play singles. This ball is you can't really see it. There it is. This ball is a plastic wiffle ball, so it doesn't bounce like a tennis ball. So you can get a lot of exercise depending on, especially the higher you go. So I think that's why I can play with a beginner very easily. Then I can play the next game with some very advanced players. I'm going to nationals in November, so we train and drill a lot. I can shift gears, whereas in tennis, if I tried to hit the ball easy to somebody on a tennis court, that ball would be flying 100 miles an hour still. And I actually had to teach tennis at Crafton on Tuesday to sub in for the tennis teacher. These are beginning college students. and the balls are flying all over the place. And so, but with pickleball, they can catch onto it right away. So your self efficacy, your ability to master something is much easier in pickleball because it's so easy to learn. But then it's challenging to master because then, you can grow. So that's what I love about it. I'm still learning how to get better at pickleball.
So it sounds like, Dr. Medina, that it makes it a really great public health intervention because it's really accessible to
Yes.
everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. So another question is, we've talked about tennis, we've talked about badminton, and you said that you talk about it as being ping pong. What are the rules? Like, what is the point? How do you get a point? Can you go over the general rules of pickleball for people who don't know?
All right. Yeah. The rules. So when you serve the ball underhand, which is one of the reasons why it's easier to play because you serve underhand versus overhand. You serve it over, and then you basically are hitting the ball back and forth until somebody makes a mistake. The ball can only bounce once on the court, or you can hit it in the air. And then you score when you're serving. So it's like old style volleyball, where you can only win points when you're serving. So that's the thing. And those are the general. I mean, it's basically you're just hitting it back and forth across the net like you would in ping pong or in tennis. So that's why a lot of people, when they look at it, oh, that looks like tennis, mini tennis, they call it. So there are some unique rules. One of the unique rules in pickleball that's different from all the other sports is there's a rectangle area right in front of the kitchen, right in front of the net, called the non-volley zone. So you cannot stand in that space, that 7-foot rectangle space, and hit the ball in the air before it bounces. That would be a fault. In tennis, you could stand right up to the net and hit a volley, in the air, the ball in the air, before it bounces, but without touching the net. But you can't do that in pickleball. So that's why you'll see them stand behind that space. And that non-volley zone, if you go anywhere, play pickleball, they call it the kitchen. So they're all saying, stay out of the kitchen, stay out of the kitchen. When I teach it, I call it the non-volley zone because I want people to remember what that means. So that's probably that's one of the big unique rules about pickleball that's different from tennis and badminton and racquetball and all the other sports.
Well, I guess it's appropriate. There's a place called the kitchen for a sport called pickleball, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's
So,
true.
we actually have a really great comment that came in from Kimberly. I love that all ages and physical abilities can play together. I'm in my 50s and can play with my 72-year-old mother. So, excellent comment, and I think you probably see that all the time, all ages playing together.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So we have another question come in. Are there any precautions individuals should consider to prevent injuries while playing pickleball and to ensure a safe experience?
That is an excellent question because I had that slide about the injuries. So one is be sure to do a proper dynamic warm-up, dynamic stretching, jumping jacks, knee raises, dynamic stretching before you play. And then you can play. Then afterwards, if you can do static stretching, that's great. You want to make sure you wear proper court shoes. That's probably one of the biggest things I see people that cause injuries. If they wear running shoes are only meant to go forward, not laterally. So if you play with running shoes and you try to go laterally, you could roll an ankle and fall. And I've seen people do that, unfortunately. So proper footwear is important. Other than that, you could pretty much wear almost anything else. I mean, I've seen people play in a suit. I've seen people play in jeans, but footwear is probably the critical thing. Do not play in flip-flops. Do not play in Crocs. So a good tennis shoe, basketball shoe even. I mean, anything that's designed for lateral movement, going in all directions, that's pretty critical. And then one that I'm sort of a personal thing of mine, this is not required right now, but it's wearing some kind of eye protection. The game is speeding up. It's getting faster. The equipment is getting better. When I first started playing, I was playing with a wooden paddle, all right, just a piece of plywood. But the technology is getting better, that the players are getting stronger, faster, more skilled in equipment. So the ball's traveling faster. And they say, oh, well, what can a wiffle ball do to hurt you? And I tell people, I have been hit from my head to my feet, every spot of my body in between. And there's only one spot on my body. I'm serious, Dr. Moses. I've been hit everywhere. I got hit on Sunday at a tournament, but there's only one spot on my body that I would be afraid of getting hit, and that is my eyeballs. So I actually have a public health announcement. I don't know if you can see it right there. It's called No to Naked Eyeballs. So I try to promote the wearing of safety glasses, or now I have thick glasses, they're not going to break. But wearing some kind of eye protection is critical, because if this ball hits you in the eye, and I have a Facebook group about that, you'll see all kinds of eye injuries from that. And I would hate to see a kid, especially a kid, lose an eye or injure themselves from pickleball, pickleball hitting their face. So I really promote, and hopefully maybe it'll become a policy someday that kids have to wear eye protection at least, and then maybe their parents will. But those are probably the safe things: safe shoes, eye protection, proper stretching warm up. And then if you do off court, my mom works out at the gym, at their version of Drayson Center. She works out at the gym. She does cardio, but she also does strength training. So you want to get, so that way it can prevent injuries on the court and make you a better player. So it's a win-win.
No, that's great. Well, thank you, Dr. Medina. That was extremely helpful. Why don't we get to the second half of your presentation?
Okay, let's jump right back in. Let me share my screen. There you go. So that good for?
Yes, I think we're in presenter mode.
Oh, okay. Did you see something, Dr. Moses?
Yes, Dr. Medina, we're in, I think, presenter mode. So we see the next slides and everything else.
Okay. Hang on. So let me, let me just, okay, let me do this then.
There we go.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So, yeah. So how is it good for your health? I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. So just for time's sake, and people can look at this later and see the references, but there have been quite a few studies. When I first started looking at how does pickleball help your health, your actual health, maybe even just a few years ago, there was not a lot of studies. Now I'm seeing a lot more studies out there. So this was one in Utah that they did on pickleball, and looking at how it impacted older adults. And you can see here that they improved their physical and cognitive health. They had high levels of satisfaction, good adherence. And here is the key thing: they wanted to keep playing pickleball after the study ended. So there was that stickiness, that healthy addiction. Here was another study that I found, 2023, about its impact on the brain, its impact on dementia, its impact on different functions of the brain. So we're seeing that. And this was something that I found from Dr. John Rady, who's one of the leading researchers in exercise and brain health. And he said, what is an exercise? Now, he's not talking about pickleball in general, but he's saying what exercise is good for brain health. And he says outside is number one. There's 5 characteristics. Outside is number one. It gets your heart rate up. You can enjoy it with other people. You can use your brain to do the activity, and it creates a healthy addiction. That's what I was just talking about earlier, right? So when you look at something like pickleball, it hits all 5 of those things, right? You look at something else, like for me, going on the treadmill, which my wife loves to do. She does that every day. Going on the treadmill is very boring for me. I only do it if it's like the last resort. So, if you want something that's the best exercise for the brain, see if it checks off all 5 of these things, and that's a good exercise for the brain. Here are some other things about cholesterol, VO2 max, cardiorespiratory fitness, blood pressure. Studies showing how exercise and racket sports specifically can even help to lower risk and increase longevity. And they pointed out that social interaction in some of these studies, social interaction was a key factor in why these sports specifically were beneficial. This is about mental health, because we've been talking about mental health since the pandemic. And here are a lot of different things how pickleball can help with personal well-being, satisfaction, depression, stress, happiness. And then even they're saying physical activity in general, from mild to moderate symptoms, can be more effective than medicines and other treatments. And they're seeing that more and more with these kinds of mental health issues. And then finally, for me personally, when people ask me, well, why do I love to play and all, it's like when I'm on the court for that amount of time, and I'm usually on the court for 2 hours or so, it's like a mini vacation. I'm not connected to my phone. I'm not listening to it. I'm not checking email. It's like I'm just focused on the people and the play there. So it's like a mini vacation I get every day. It helps my self-esteem because I'm getting better at something. I couldn't do something last year. I can do it now. And I'm learning new things, and they always talk about learning a new language or learning a new habit or activity. Well, this is a great way to learn. And then again, it's just fun. I mean, we all know about humor with Dr. Burke and all, right? So it's a fun activity to do. So And then the social connectedness is the key. I mean, ever since I started in pickleball in 2016, my group of friends has just exploded. I mean, I have friends all over the place. When you meet somebody at pickleball, it's almost like being a Seventh-day Adventist. You go somewhere, they find out you're a pickleball player, you're like instant family. So here are some of the bullet points. I'm not going to read through all of them. You can see them there, but here are some of the things why pickleball I find is such a social thing. And again, that bottom bullet there, fitness and socialization are keys in creating that healthy addiction to that activity. All right. Here's some examples of 3 generations. Here, my mom on the bottom picture here in the middle, my mom in the middle, all of my siblings and I play. And then most of our kids play. I'm sad to say my daughter takes after my wife. They have no hand-eye coordination. Although Summer said she would try to play it again. But my nephews, nieces, the others, family, they all play pickleball. And if you want to get started, you say, man, this sounds like fun. I want to get started. We teach lessons at the Drayson Center. So there's the website. You can find that out. We do classes as well as private lessons. I just did a private lesson this morning with somebody from church. So you can do lessons there. Or if you're not here in Loma Linda and you're watching somewhere else, you can go on the USA Pickleball's website. And there's a place there called Places to Play. Go to that website. You can put in your zip code and it will show you where all the places to play are. And another website is pickleheads.com. Again, same thing. You can search for any pickleball location near you. So when I travel, that's the first thing I go to because I want to find out where I can play if I'm traveling. And the other place that you can, the other place is the Ambassador. I'll get to that in a second, but pickleball is also helping, USA Pickleball is also helping to grow the sport. There are grants that you can get to help grow the sport. And I actually got a grant from my church in Azure Hills in Grand Terrace. We got a grant and that helped to start the pickleball courts and the equipment there. So we have 6 pickleball courts there in Azure Hills at Grand Terrace. So they play every Sunday morning and Tuesday night. So it's a great place to play free over there. And then when I travel too, I also look for ambassadors. I'm an ambassador for Loma Linda. And so I go on this website, I can search for the ambassadors. I can find out, because we ambassadors give free lessons. So you can find an ambassador near where you live, and then they can help you learn the sport. Okay. And then again, just go to the website, usapickleball.org. That's the national governing body's website. All kinds of information about rules, about competition if you're interested in that. Nationals is coming up in November. All kinds of things, great resources up there that you can find at that place. And then finally, I got to close with this. Some of you have heard about this. We were talking about this earlier. If you go on Netflix and you search for Live to 100, Secrets of the Blue Zone, that show came out about 3 weeks ago, that documentary, and you will see Loma Linda in episode 2, and you will actually get to see my mom being featured in that. She does a cooking demo, and she also shows pickleball on our Drayson Center courts being interviewed. You could see a picture there. They were filming her. The cameraman was right on the court, and she said, I was afraid of hitting him because he was filming her right while she was trying to play. Dr. Sabate, one of our professors of nutrition at School of Public Health, he's also interviewed there, talks about, Loma Linda is a blue zone, but you'll get to see some pickleball action there. If you look for me in the background, I'll be in the orange jersey. So I have my little cameo back there. But yeah, look on that on Netflix and you can check out that show. And I note this is my email address. If anybody has any questions, they can email me. I'd be happy to help them, give them a free intro lesson, or just play with them on the courts here at Drayson Center or around in the Inland Empire area. There's pickleball everywhere. I have to say this. I'll stop my share screen here, but I'll close with this, Olivia. Pickleball in the Inland Empire started in Loma Linda. When I first started in 2016, there was 9 of us in the Inland Empire. This is why I think of it as a public health intervention. 9 of us. There was no pickleball in Riverside, nothing in Redlands, nothing in Yucaipa, nothing in Grand Terrace, nothing in San Bernardino, nothing. Every city around us, there was 0 pickleball. We started in the park at Hulda Crooks Park with one simple net, wooden paddles, and started with 9 people. Brought it to Drayson Center eventually because it kept growing and growing and growing. And then from Drayson Center, all the different founders of these different clubs came from Drayson Center. So the founder of Redlands, the founder of Riverside. I mean, I remember driving in Riverside with one of the founders. We were just driving on Riverside looking at tennis courts to see where can we start pickleball. I mean, there's literally nothing. Now, country clubs, public parks in Riverside, they have pickleball. They're planning on building some more pickleball courts there. Redlands just they converted their 2 old tennis courts to 8 permanent pickleball courts, free to the public at the Redlands Recreation Center. Ukaipa, we got a $500,000 grant during the pandemic. I did a presentation with City Council along with other people there, and they're building more pickleball courts. They have 3 or 4 locations there through the park. All the cities now around Loma Linda have pickleball, and because it all started here, so Loma Linda is sort of the genesis of that. And even further, we were just at Beaumont at an opening 2 weeks ago. They just put pickleball courts in their first regional park in Beaumont, and we just had a meeting on Zoom with the Yucca Valley Parks and Rec guy who was here on Sunday at our tournament. So they're starting growing pickleball there and all that. So from a public health standpoint, seeing all these hundreds and hundreds of people who are playing almost every day, physically active, of all ages, from kids, grandkids to grandparents, it's just amazing. So that's how I look at it from a public health lens, not just, hey, it's a fun sport, I'm going to play in tournaments. I'm realistic. I'm not going to be a pro, and so, but to see people having fun, and the majority of those people are not tournament players. Most of them are just playing for fun, like my mom and everybody else. So
oh, that's fantastic, Ernie. Literally watching the explosion, because I know how you started, and to have so sorry, we're having some technical difficulties as well, but I think you can hear my voice.
yes,
Is that we definitely, it's taking this broad stroke of getting people excited about exercise. So that's fantastic.
yeah.
Also, we do have a question that has come in. In your experience, how has playing pickleball influenced your own sustainable habits and overall well-being?
Oh, that's a very good question. Well, I play pickleball to teach. I love teaching, but I also do tournaments, like I said. So guess what? I'm watching my eating more closely now, and it's the big thing for me, especially because I was always eating pretty well beforehand. But the big thing for me is that it's gotten me back into the gym working out because I want to get stronger. I don't want to have injuries. So I've been going to the gym very consistently working out because when I find that because I've had the reason why I don't play tennis anymore is because I've had knee injuries and some low back issues, nothing serious, but just, the usual aches and pains. But I find that when I go to the gym and work out with the weights and all the machines, and I feel stronger physically, then those aches and pains, my back, they all go away, or they go way, way down. So when I've been started playing pickleball, I said, man, you know what? To get stronger, to do this shot or that shot, I need to be in the gym. And so, because pickleball is more cardio than strength, so it's really helped me to get really more consistent with my gym work as well. And then we drill. I train at 7 a.m. for my own personal training, so it's forced me to go to bed earlier. So I'm getting to bed earlier because I got to get up early to get to the courts. So it's helped impact other areas of my life.
Okay. I mean, it's been very exciting to watch and see as well. Um, the good thing is, how do you keep it sustainable? And I think that's that social aspect you were talking about as well.
Yeah, that's it's like with pickleball, we don't have to say try to cajole people to come back again. They are always asking, can we play more days? Can we play more times? Where more can we play? I've never had an issue where, oh, we're playing too many days, So it, from a sustainability standpoint, if I can just get them to try it, go out and try it, they make friends, they get connected, they get hooked into it, then it sustains itself. I mean, I know you, Dr. Mosley, you've worked with preventive care and you've worked with lifestyle change as well. We always come up with all these motivational kinds of things to try to get them to maintain it. I've never had that issue with pickleball. I mean, I should say never. I rarely have it because they want to play more. If it's raining, everybody's on our chats and our threads saying, "Oh man, what are we going to do? It's raining." You know, I mean, and do not play in the rain because that's very dangerous. But it's amazing. I mean, it blows me away. Other things like, yeah, it's sort of cold up there. I don't know if I want to go mountain biking because it's really cold and it's sort of wet. I'm going to sleep in today. It doesn't happen with pickleball unless I'm really sore the next day after a tournament, like I was on Monday. Then yeah, then you got to take a day off. But sustainability doesn't seem to be a problem. They want to play more. So
Right. Well, that's fantastic. Well, Dr. Medina, thank you so much for being with us today. Sorry, everyone, about the technical difficulties, but we made it through. And I think hopefully, even with the technical difficulties, you understand the passion, not only that Dr. Medina has, but thousands of people worldwide have for this sport. And maybe it's something you want to look at it. Now, Ernie, you mentioned, is it pickleheads.org?
But they can go on to
Mm-hmm.
usapickleball.org and see the places to play. There's
Places to
also
play.
an app. There's also an app called Places to Play. So that's what I use, the app. So I don't go online. I just go to the app, Places to
Mm-hmm.
Play, or pickleheads.com is another online if you want to go online. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, either of those two places you can find the closest court to you.
To get started, to get
Yeah.
started. Well,
And
thank
if you
you
need
all for joining us today. We are so excited to actually tell you about our next presentation next month, and we want to invite you. It is going to be on October 26th, and we are going to be talking about dental health. We have Dr. Eileen Kim here, right, one of ours from our School of Dentistry, and she is going to talk to us about your medications and how that can impact your oral health. So you don't want to miss that. Again, thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank Dr. Medina and our